Good afternoon, folks. Joel Thompson with you here, JT, at Lakewood 400 Antique Mall. And I'm here with Mr. Jim Hames. He is a dealer here, and he's kind of hard to miss. We'll get to those in a second. But I'd like to throw it to him and have him introduce himself, tell him about how he got here, a little bit of the history.
I'll be happy to. Like, we've been permanent dealers here at Lakewood for about 3 years. Annie and I live in Greenville, South Carolina. And there she is over there, and you can see the wonderful South Carolina pants she has.
All right.
Well, George has already taken care of South Carolina. We'll get to the Missouri game in a little bit.
Got it.
But we've been here for about 3 years, and I can't tell you how much Lakewood is an important part of everybody that is a vendor here. This place has a little bit of everything, from the primitive to the traditional to a wonderful clothing area. I mean, this literally has about everything that anybody would want. The dealers are first class. Lakewood is first class. I would certainly invite everyone to come and see what Lakewood is all about. They will enjoy it.
And tell us about how you and your missus got involved. How did you get the bug to be in the antique business?
Well, it's really an interesting story. How we got the bug was I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, where I knew Annie, and we got married. And the first thing we went and did was we found us a little table. From that little table, it has grown into this booth and our business. So one little table, bought at a Goodwill, to be quite honest with you, has turned this into an antique business. Now we have, not only do we work at Lakewood, we now have a gallery that features primitive furniture and art in Greenville, South Carolina. So one little table can turn a lot of things on.
Around. So you're in Hall G. And do you have a designated booth number, or you're first on the right
I
in
tell you
Hall
what,
G?
when you walk in Hall G, you can't miss us. We are the first booth on the right.
And we'll get into some of these things. You've got a special exhibit that we're going to talk about here, but tell us where your store is in Greenville, South Carolina.
Well, basically, Annie and I, we go back a long way. We taught school together 45 years ago, lost complete connection with each other for 40 years, reconnected. Within 5 months of that reconnection, I was in Greenville, South Carolina.
Hey,
so she had a little bit of a pull.
All for a little table at Goodwill.
All for that little table at Goodwill, and that little table has come in handy for not only dinners but other things.
Goodwill spreads goodwill.
It does.
All right. So, Mr. Jim, walked by your booth, saw an interesting piece, and would love to talk to you. I know you are a college football fan. Hence here, and hence the Gamecock. Go Gamecocks! But let's dial the clock back and talk about what got college football all started and what you've got here in your booth.
Like I indicated, we have an art gallery in Greenville, so we try to bring down interesting things. And because we thought this was the start of football season, it would be interesting to bring some football material down. This picture that I'm pointing to right here is a depiction of the first college football game that was ever played and ever recorded. And it was a game that was played in 1867, and it was played between Rutgers and Princeton. And there are some very interesting things in this. And the original for this and the other three partner pieces hang in the NCAA Hall of Champions. But the interesting things, if you were to see this picture and you could see it up close, here is the official. He stands completely off the field. Right there is the official. It was a game played with 18 players on a side. The Rutgers team is very easy to pick out if you know what you're looking for. Rutgers wears red from the first time they were done until now. Notice the players with the red bandanas. That is Rutgers. This was actually said to be the first attempt at creating a uniform, because now the players could see who they were, who their teammates were. Another interesting thing, these were the first helmets that were ever introduced or even thought about. Everybody else played bare knuckles and bare heads. They were the first one to do that. Another interesting thing is, there's the ball. The ball in 1867 was round. It is the only balls they had were round. So that is a depiction. There were 4 pieces produced by Chevron Oil in 1967 by the NCAA. So we brought this one, and then we brought a piece that has to do with tailgating. That's the #1 humor artist in the country. What's interesting about this piece is this. If you go to any football game, where everybody wants to be is up by the stadium. Where everybody is out here. And it is an interesting piece. So we do try our best to bring down pieces that are going to be interesting for everybody walking through that door.
Well, that is fantastic. And your art gallery, and you have a history in sports yourself, working with the NCAA. Can you tell us a little bit about your before you became an antique pro? Well, you had a career as well.
I did. Prior to me becoming an antique dealer, I've been accused of never having a job that didn't involve a ball. And basically, when I went to, I played I played basketball and baseball at the University of New Mexico. And I was fortunate enough to, from that time, I fortunately enough was able to sign a professional baseball contract. After I spent a year in Vietnam, I came back and I was fortunate enough to play. I had the best seat in the house at 6 games for the Los Angeles Dodgers, which means I sat on the bench for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
It's a good view.
And after that particular time, I was a golf professional. So I've gone from playing basketball and baseball to playing baseball. I was a golf professional for X number of years. From there, I became the executive director of the NCAA golf coaches. That's where I began a long career with the NCAA. So people always tell me you've had no job that didn't involve a ball until now. And now we just have fun. Now Annie and I just have a ball.
Have a ball. Well, fantastic. Well, what close us out? Give us a promo on Lakewood and tell the people what you would tell them as a dealer and having folks come in to see you at
If
Lakewood.
I was talking to an individual who was looking to have a wonderful weekend, an enjoyable weekend, and they had any interest at all in everything from primitive furniture to clothing to jewelry, this is the place to come. Lakewood literally, in my opinion, has just about anything anybody could want. Your ticket is good for all 3 days. It costs you $3 to come in and see 400 wonderful dealers.
And the fries are good.
And I didn't even go to the lunch, but you can't beat the lunch as well. Not that I go try that, but yes, the fries are wonderful.
That's where your profits go, right?
That's absolutely correct.
Fantastic. Well, that's Jim Hames and his wife, Annie. They're in Hall F at Lakewood 400 Antiques Market. Jim, thanks for being on the show today. And go who?
Well, this is Go Tigers.
Tigers.
Go Tigers. Georgia plays Missouri next week.
Yep, I was gonna say
so we are going to say that this might be a pretty good game in Columbia, Missouri. It wasn't a good game in Columbia, South Carolina, but Columbia, Missouri might give them a better game.
We might can use that on Dog Talk. All right.
That's fantastic.
Thank you very much, Jim. Glad to have you on the show.
It is my pleasure.